Hey everybody, it's Caleb Leverett. It's May the 14th of 2020. One of the, if not the weirdest, worst years of my life and everybody I know. I've got my Dan Harmon scruffy beard, disheveled hair thing going. And hadn't made a video in a long time because mostly there's really nothing to report much. There's not really any big changes with the kids. They're all either grown or almost grown. Parker is he breaks colts for a living now. He's got his own place. And like I said, they're grown or almost grown. Everybody's good. But what I wanted to get into today is my channel keeps growing and growing and growing, especially since this lockdown happened. I guess, like many of you, people have basically finished watching everything they could watch on Netflix or Hulu, or I've watched just about every old DVD collection I've had, Dexter and House and Game of Thrones, and the boys come over and they'll take some of them, they'll go watch them themselves. So my YouTube channel has been blowing up with a whole brand new crop of people that had never even heard of anything that we'd ever done. The Parker movie, the 72-minute one, the long one, the first one, that was uploaded almost 7 years to the day. I mean, it's, relatively speaking, it's old. And the only reason I can assume that it's still relevant and will, as long as the family court system stays in place the way it currently is now, is every single year there's a whole new crop of 14-year-olds that are going through the same things that, my kids went through. There's a whole group of young parents that are getting divorced, that are entering into this cycle of death and destruction, for lack of a better, more accurate term, the family court system. Every year there's a whole new crop of all these things happening. There are some good things happening, and I can get to those later, but for the most part, the family court today is basically the family court that it was in 2007 when I got divorced. It's the same family court for the most part as 2013 when Parker didn't want to get out of the truck. And I went to jail and all that fun stuff. Not a whole lot's changed, which is kind of sad. It's terrible. I had these big hopes and dreams when the Parker movie was taking off that, oh, I'm going to make a difference and make a change, and perhaps I have to a degree, but for the most part, there's still people getting screwed that don't deserve it. I would know. I'm in the position to know. I've talked to thousands of people, literally thousands of people, whether it's through messaging or emails or video chats or even my own phone number that's been leaked in 2 of my own videos. I still get phone calls and texts from my actual personal cell phone. Yes, it really is me that answers you. And as much free time as I do happen to have at the moment, because I've not really worked, and certainly not oil field work, in 2 months, I still don't have time to properly get to everybody who's got questions. And the main question is, we saw the Parker movie, and that was really great, and it was really, it was motivating. I'm in the same situation. I've heard it thousands of times. And as badly as I would love to be able to get to everybody, I simply cannot. And I feel bad that I can't, and that's the main reason I'm making this. Every time I talk to somebody who wants their story heard and some advice on what to do, I've noticed it's this, for me, it's the same, that I tell them the same thing. It's nothing magical that I did. It's not. If you are in the position that my family and I were in all those years ago, it is obviously scarier. You wouldn't have reached out to me in the first place. I obviously don't have a magic wand. I can't fix your problems. Only you can do that. The first thing you have to know, if you decide that you are sick and tired of just letting the lawyers battle it out, where almost indefinitely one parent or the other, mom or dad, doesn't matter. Again, it's usually the dad that gets screwed over, but believe me, I'm in the position I would know. I know a plethora of mothers that have been screwed over horribly. The first thing you need to know that is you have to have love. That is first and paramount for your child. I've been in love 4 times in my life, and their names are Parker, Hayden, Blaine, and London. I've had relationships with, women, and I had love for them, but I've only truly been in love 4 times. When I cut all 4 of their little umbilical cords and brought them home. You're not going to get through this unscathed. It's just not going to happen. There is no manual per se on how to get through this. I've heard it my whole life, even before I was a parent. People would say there's no instruction manual on how to be a parent, and it's true, there's not. Until you become a parent and have to do everything it requires to be a parent, you simply have no idea really what it's like. You can get close, like with animals. I totally get that. The reason I don't even have any animals anymore is because when they die, it's too hard on me. I can't stand the loss. It hurts too much. But until you've become a parent, you don't know what it's like. Same way with fighting the current family court system. Until you've done it, there is no manual. Now, what I'm getting around to saying is my YouTube channel is a helpful tool, and I'm not patting myself on the back, because I'm here to tell you all the crap that I've ever posted online with the fighting for my kids. A, I almost always had help, but B, I had no clue what I was doing. I'd never done that before. I'd never done any of that before. When Parker, in the original Parker movie, when I was recording that, I was put in that position to make a under pressure decision. I'd already been fighting. That was 2013. I'd been divorced since 2007. I'd lost every time I went to court. Every time I got sued, I always lost. I made a decision when Parker was adamant he wasn't getting out of my truck. I told him, here's what I can do. I have to deliver you. That's what the papers say. And I'll record you. But after that, once that we're physically there, you're on your own, man. I hate it like everything, but there's nothing I can do. Fast forward 2 months, when Parker was taken from me. I honestly, the movie had already started going viral. I genuinely thought, when Parker and I went in there getting sued again, that he was going to come live with me. I mean, we've got the unedited proof, 72 minutes of unedited. Parker just demanding announcing he wanted to live with me. I had the cops on camera saying, Mr. Leverett, you and your son are free to go. I thought it was in the bag. Oh, how wrong I was. He was ripped away from me, and that was the absolute worst day of my life. And just by looking at the YouTube numbers, right now the Parker movie's got like 21 million views as of today. To me, Parker versus the Man, when he's taken from me, is far more dramatic and heart-wrenching. People tell me all the time that the Parker movie was just heart-wrenching. I mean, I've got grown men posting videos of, older than me, in tears, bringing back memories of what they went through. But Parker versus the Man, in my opinion, is far more dramatic. Like I said, it's the worst day of my life. I can't even watch the video anymore. I haven't seen it in years. But occasionally I'll check on the numbers. It's only at 3 million. That's a small fraction of the original movie. And that tells me people get motivated by that, and then they, for the most part, they stop. They watch the big one, and then they stop. And what I'm trying to tell parents, and even kids, because I've had this too, where kids reach out to me, they went ahead and watched pretty much my entire channel. They take my videos and show it to their parents. Sometimes they show it to both. Sometimes they only show it to the one that they prefer to live with. And they've had success. People mimicking us, and I think it's great. That's one of the main reasons I leave my channel up, for that very reason. It's very self-satisfying for me to get those phone calls or emails or messages of people telling me, we watched what you did, we mimicked it, we had success, and now I live with my mom, or now I live with my dad. But again, getting back to the number of people that I wished I could get to that I simply cannot, is watch the Parker video, great. But after that, I had to make hard decisions. I was literally given 15 minutes to tell Parker goodbye. That was it. He was shipped off 375 miles away to a home he'd never even seen in San Antonio, Texas. I had to make a decision. What do I do? I recorded it. It's about 45 minutes long. And I didn't publish it the day that it was recorded, because the attorneys got involved, and people that I thought cared about me at the time were involved, and almost everybody who watched it said, no, do not upload that, do not. And I was like, why? The people need to see what really happens. People hear about, oh, so-and-so lost his kid in court. Oh, yeah, that sucks, too bad. Oh, yeah, hey, Judy, how's it going? And they don't give any thought about how awful it was. And finally, one of my attorneys at the time said, Caleb, as long as you understand the risk you're taking, then go ahead and upload it. And I said, I understand. I didn't think I was going to lose my son, first of all, and now here it is. I lost him, and now I'm recording the ramifications of it and wanting to broadcast it to the entire world. But I did it. And again, Parker's one of my loves. I'm in love with my son. My 4 loves, Parker, Hayden, Blaine, London. I knew that I almost certainly faced financial ruin for doing that. I didn't care. I mean, I did, but I cared more about my son. I wanted to fight for him. I honestly didn't think I was going to have to go to jail, but I went to jail for 60 days for what you saw in the Parker movie. And that's not fun. Jail's not fun, especially Ector County. Any of you locals that have been to Ector County Jail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's miserable. And then, again, fast forward 4 years. We get to Parker's little brother Blaine, and almost the same thing happens to him. The boy calls me up. Dad, I need help. Dad, I'm stranded. He was sleeping under bridges. He was sleeping in ditches. He was hanging out with the homeless people. And I mean, one time I was driving him around through downtown San Antonio, and he waved at a couple of these homeless people, and they knew who he was because they helped him. And I will forever be grateful for that. At the time, again, I was busy at my work. I didn't have time to, I'd already was going first, third, and fifth Fridays, dropping everything, driving to San Antonio, 375 miles one way. Tried my best to spend quality time with my kids, drive back, go back to work, first, third, and fifth weekends every month. Did it for years. That was not preferable. I didn't want to, I had to be at work. So in addition to my regular visitation, Blaine was calling me, Dad, I'm stranded. To him, it was a better option to run away from home and sleep in ditches and underneath overpasses. And I'm not getting into a bashing here. That's not the reason for this. My point is, from his point of view, he wanted to live with me. He didn't want to live with her. He made the choice. He would rather sleep in ditches and under overpasses than where he was. He called me out of desperation. This was June in San Antonio, Texas, and it is blistering hot. Called me up. I had to be at work, but my son needed me. My love needed me. I didn't want to lose my jobs for those days, potentially not having a job at all. Ultimately, my own father even fired me because of pressure. I was an embarrassment to some of his big customers. They said, Shane, it's either him or you. So they fired me. Yeah. But anyways, I didn't have time to take off, but I didn't have an option to not help my son. So I did. And I knew full well what this meant. I was picking a royal fight. I raised the stink. Go back and watch, or if you haven't seen the Blaine series, I raised hell. Knowing good and well, the only two judges I had ever seen in Ector County, Texas was Judge Whalen and Judge Rex. One took my son away from me and all my money, and another one took my liberty away from me and locked me up for 60 days and my money. Within 10 days of getting out of jail, after not having an income for 60 days, I had to pay something to the opposing attorney like $10,000 or go back to jail. I barely had it, but I paid it. But again, I had to make an on-the-fly decision on what to do. I didn't know if it was right. All I'd ever known is if I go back to court, I'm getting screwed again. And this time I'd be a repeat offender. But at the same time, I could not leave my son there. There's no way. So I left. Several times went and got him. Just watch the videos. They're all there. You can see what I'm talking about. I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. There wasn't an instruction manual. Yeah, I'd already gone through something similar with Parker, but this was a whole new level of WTF. But I had love at my core, and I just went with it. I knew whatever decision I made was going to be the right decision. May not be in the short run, but in the long run, it was going to be the right decision because I made it out of love. If you are trying to get back to court just to screw the ex, get back at them with money or punish them by taking away time, if that's your motivation, you're going to lose in the long run. You might win in the short run. You might get that sorry ex put in jail or fined or whatever. But in the long run, you're going to lose because the long run is your relationship with your kids. I'm still as close as ever with all four of my kids. Now Parker's 21 in June, the rest of them will be 19, 17, and 15. They're grown or almost grown. I don't have to see them every day. Especially with this lockdown thing going, I hadn't seen London in a couple months, but I don't have to. We can text. As soon as she comes over, Hayden came over the other day. As soon as he come over, it was like no time had ever passed. those formative years, I was there. I made the bond. And so it doesn't matter if I'm poor as a church mouse now. I'm broke. But I've got my bond with those kids. And I'm 43. I'm still got a little bit of youth in me. I can start over. I've had a dream of having a sailboat for years. And now I don't have to wipe any more butts. Don't have to worry about really getting sued again, because knock on wood, been 3 years and I haven't been sued again, and I'm excited about that. So I can move on. I'm going to save my money if I can and get my sailboat. But again, for the people who find me and want to know what they're up against, how they can fight without, beyond just the lawyers, the blood-sucking attorneys, watch the Parker series, watch the Blaine series. If you've got love in your heart, and that's where you're making your decisions, when you are forced under that pressure, what are you going to do? Whatever it is, as bold as it may be, as scary as it may sound, whatever decision you make, as long as your heart is with love of the child, then I'm not going to say have no fear, because you're probably going to get screwed over at first. But in the long run, you will win and you will overcome. Like I said, at the time, when Blaine was going through his stuff, my only experience was take my money, throw me in jail, take my kids. That's all I knew. I just assumed. And once I got served those papers, I knew it. Here it goes. I'm going back to jail, probably for even longer time this time, but I rescued my son. I protested in front of Nick's hospital. I poured my heart out in that gut-wrenching video that almost killed me in that hotel room. But lo and behold, Judge Sarah Kate Billingsley, unbeknownst to me at the time, had been appointed in Ector County, Texas, to take over the family court. At the time, Judge Whalen, the one who took Parker from me, in one day, he would see rapists and murderers, and also he'd see people like me. And it was just, he'd see the worst of the worst mixed with civil court. And so, I don't know if me raising hell in Ector County is what exactly caused that. I know it probably helped. But anyway, Judge Billingsley was appointed by Governor Abbott. And I've had my disagreements with Governor Abbott on some things, especially back when he was the Attorney General. But I'll give Abbott this. He picked a good one. And, as they say, the rest is history. I got full custody of Blaine. I was awarded child support, which I didn't ask for. And by the way, we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of that. And my status has still not been updated. We settled in mediation in October of 2017. I no longer owed current support. I no longer owed back support. And to this day, the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, is still not updated my file. Well, there's some political things that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to take away from the focus of this video, but prepare yourself mentally. If you've got love in your heart for your child and you're ready to fight outside, there is no instruction manual, but my YouTube channel is a overall general, at least it shows the possibilities of something you can do. And of all my videos, all I ever used was the phone that I'm using right now. That's all I've ever used. You don't have to have anything fancy. So be prepared. You're going to lose horribly at first, but watch the videos and get an idea of what you can get away with and what you can't. Always stay calm. Sometimes, like when Parker's taken from me, I burst out in tears. Sometimes you just can't help it, but never get violent, never get confrontational. as far as yelling and name calling, that sort of thing, that almost always, almost never ever ends well. It just doesn't. Stay calm, stay collected. Assure your child that you're there for them, that you will do everything in your power to protect them. Most of the time it's best if you probably stay quiet and just let them talk. Let them show who they are. Occasionally ask questions. Questions are always better than statements in those situations, or almost always. But if you've got love in your heart, you can watch my channel and get an idea of what you can do and play off those ideas. And I hope people take it further, because ultimately I hope that my channel is irrelevant. Because when the day my channel is irrelevant will be the day that the current family court system, the way it's dealt with, no longer exists. There's got to be a better way. I don't have all the answers, but I know that the crap that we are dealt with right now, it isn't working. The pain and suffering is still there, and I'm living proof, because after 7 years of the Parker stuff being in, the 3 years that the Blaine stuff's been up, I get the same questions over and over and over and over. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? This has happened to me. This has happened to me. There's people that are 14 years old today. They're only 7 when the Parker movie came out. I mean, they didn't, 7-year-olds, they definitely get caught up in this, but most 7-year-olds and younger, they don't have the cognitive, they're not developed enough to really fully grasp what's going on. But they're 14 now. That's how long this has been going on, and not a whole lot's changed. I will say that this is what I was going to get to earlier. A little bit has changed. Now, whether or not my case had anything to do with Judge Billingsley being appointed, and she takes care of like 85% of all family court. That's all she sees. She doesn't see any criminal, any of that. All she sees. The woman who I made famous for her coining her term, "bring me these babies," that was Judge Sarah Kate Billingsley. And the fact that she is in that position, the fact that that much change, that tells me at least something is changing. I want more. I'd rather all judges focus on her and how she handles things. She's not a pushover, don't get me wrong. She's not just gonna oh, okay, you want your kid? No. She's fair. She's not, that's the problem. You can be lopsided one way, which is how most family courts are. One parent's always gonna get screwed for the most part, and the other one gets everything they want. That doesn't mean she's the reverse of it. So, the goal is not, right now it's 80% men getting screwed and 20% the moms getting screwed. The goal is not, well, let's start screwing 80% of the moms and only 20% of the dads. That's not the goal. She's not going to just flop it. She's fair. If you're both good parents, she's going to make it fair to where it's equal parenting time for the most part. But anyway, I'll get off my rant on Judge Billingsley. Like I said, London will be 15 in June, which means that I've only got 3 more years after that where Judge Billingsley is no longer my judge, and she could just be Sarah Kate Billingsley, and I'm just going to go give her a big old hug. So anyway, for the people who are wanting to know where to start, how to get into this, if you're coming to me for advice, this is the best advice I can get. Just watch I've got some goofy ones on there I'd probably need to take down, but for the most part, watch what I've done, take it a step further, have love in your heart for your child, and if you can get to that point and you're ready to take that next step, knowing that you could go to jail, you probably will most certainly go broke, and you set that aside, and once that doesn't matter, you do your thing. Remember, your phone is your best friend. and you record, and you never give up. So y'all take care, and maybe something more interesting will come up eventually, but I guess that's about it. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Bye.